The Death Watch. These terrorists work tirelessly to restore Mandalore's ancient warrior past, no matter the cost. But what would happen if the Death Watch did conquer Mandalore?
Never let the weak tell you what to do. Welcome to Death Watch.
So, as a brief overview, the Death Watch are the remnants of the pro-militaristic clans that fought against Duchess Satine's pacifist New Mandalorians in the Mandalorian Civil War. Eventually, the clans lost the war and were exiled to the moon of Concordia, where they came under the command of Vizsla, head of Clan Vizsla, and governor of Concordia. Vizsla led the Death Watch in secret until the time of the Clone Wars, where he attempted to seize power repeatedly from the Duchess and restore the warrior ways that his people once prided themselves on. He did eventually manage this in alliance with Darth Maul and his crime syndicate, the Shadow Collective, until he betrayed Maul, which resulted in Maul killing Vizsla and the dividing the Death Watch between those loyal to Maul and those who still followed Vizsla's goals. This ended the Death Watch's very short rule over Mandalore.
I challenge you, one warrior to another, and only the strongest shall rule Mandalore.
So be it. Give him his weapon.
Mandalorians have an incredibly checkered past, riddled with tall tales of bloody crusades across many systems, with some believing that they are the greatest warriors the galaxy has ever seen, warring with both the Republic, Jedi and Sith on multiple occasions, and often winning those battles. Now, I'm going to say that in Maul and Vizsla's duel, Vizsla manages to win and kills Maul and his brother Savage. Now, this leaves Vizsla in a very powerful position. He is proven to be the strongest by killing Maul, therefore he cements his place as ruler of the Death Watch and likely will be unrivaled. The Mandalorian people love the Death Watch, as they saved Mandalore from the fake invasion from the Shadow Collective. The Mandalorian people believe that the pacifist ways of Satine's government has made them weak and will begin to welcome Vizsla's ideas of reintroducing their warrior past. This means that Vizsla can quickly begin to implement his ideology on the people of Mandalore. As well as this, Death Watch's rule over Mandalore can't really be broken. Mandalore is the head of the Council of Neutral Systems, a group which is made up of around 1,500 systems that vowed to stay out of the Clone Wars. For this reason, neither the Separatists nor the Republic are allowed to intervene with Mandalore's internal affairs so long as they remain neutral from the conflict. As well as this, it's unlikely the Jedi would make a stance, with the Sith no longer in power, so Vizsla has no opposition. And finally, the Death Watch have the Shadow Collective. This allegiance between the Black Sun, Pike Syndicate and Hutt Cartel is perhaps one of the most valuable assets Vizsla has. Now, the Death Watch have many leaders of these groups imprisoned and would likely be able to work out very favourable terms for their release. Now, this crime syndicate's resources would be unrivaled, and would allow Mandalore to obtain whatever they wanted from anywhere in the galaxy. This is particularly important, as it makes embargoes and blockades that the Republic or Separatists might enforce completely useless, so nothing can hinder Vizsla's plans. Now let's talk about what would likely follow Vizsla's rise to power. First and foremost, he would need to boost Mandalore's military. With a rumoured 5,000 Death Watch warriors, they would not be able to launch any major offences. Now, as I said, Mandalore's people were largely behind Vizsla at this point, and it is likely he would have many Mandalorians conscripted into the new army, officially to ensure Mandalore's security. Now, training under the Death Watch would likely be very harsh yet effective, and would transform many of the once peaceful citizens into ruthless and cunning killers. Now, we can only estimate Mandalore's population, but we would guess that Mandalore's new military would be at least in the millions, and would more than rival that of the Republic in terms of troops and potentially training. The main issue Vizsla would face would be supplying his new war machine. The troops would need armour, weapons, and most importantly ships in order to wage war, which they would be able to get from their allies in the Shadow Collective. Now, the Mandalorians are equipped and ready for war, they would need to mobilise, and what would be their target? The other 1,500 neutral systems. Many of these systems would be ill-equipped to compete in a large-scale conflict. In fact, many of them were only neutral because they simply couldn't afford the war. For this reason, Vizsla's reformed, warmongering Mandalorians would make short work of these systems. Being neutral, there's nothing the Republic or Separatists could do to stop the Mandalorian onslaught without mass criticism from their respected governments. The neutral systems would be forced to either join the Clone Wars by picking a side, which would only escalate the war further and make it last longer, or they would need to face the wrath of the Mandalorians. For every system the Mandalorians conquered, their numbers would swell, like in their ancient crusades when citizens of conquered worlds would join their ranks. Those who wouldn't join the ranks of the Mandalorians would likely be used as a labour force to strengthen the Mandalorian war machine, making ships, weapons, armour, all against their will. Mandalore would prosper from the Crusades, wealth stolen from conquered systems would be reinvested in the military, and the new conflict-driven Mandalorians, with their vast span of control, would become a major powerhouse in the galaxy. Now, assuming Palpatine does still become Emperor in this timeline, he would face a far greater problem. The Mandalorians' military would rival that of his own, and the Mandalorians wanting to face the greatest foe possible would make peace impossible, and would likely start their campaign into Republic space as soon as Palpatine declared himself Emperor, making the most of the chaos that ensued. Now, this war would be far more brutal than any other. It would consist of massacre after massacre on both sides, with both factions mercilessly attempting to gain ground. Who would win this conflict is unknown, but it would definitely hinder Palpatine's plans, and his empire would never be able to exert itself in the way that it did. However, would living under Mandalorian rule be any better? But what do you think? Do you believe that this is how Mandalore would progress if Vizsla was its leader? And do you believe that Mandalore, and the galaxy as a whole, would be better if the Mandalorians did choose to readopt their ancient warrior ways? Please put your opinions below, as I found this to be a very interesting subject and would love to hear your opinions on this theory and how you think it would turn out. Thanks for watching, please remember to like and subscribe for more Star Wars Rethinks, and I'll see you next time.